You know, local action is important, and local action around the world, when it is coordinated and aligned and reinforcing, becomes the collective action that's needed to save the world.
Mr. Adler, you flew over 5,000 miles to be here to attend a summit that is promoting the elimination of fossil fuels. Isn't that hypocritical?
The increase in carbon footprint for me flying over here worth the advantages that are associated with physically being here. And I made the choice that it was. The impact of not meeting those goals is going to be pretty bad for the world.
Lincoln J for Rebel News here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, reporting on the C40 World Mayor Summit with my colleague Katie Daviscourt. We're just wrapping up day 3 of the summit, and for those of you that don't know, this summit is a gathering of mayors from cities all across the world who have come together here in Buenos Aires, Argentina, to discuss how they're going to transition into a green economy, a net zero economy. Now, some of the objectives on their agenda are pretty extreme, and I don't know if you're gonna believe it, but it's on their website. Now, their ambitious objectives, just to name a few, are to completely eliminate all private vehicles, completely eliminate meat and dairy, and they want to only permit every human to purchase 3 articles of clothing a year. Today marks day 3 of the summit. If you want to check out all of our coverage up to this point, we created a special website where you can do just that. It's called C40Summit.com. And through that website, you can sign our petition and you can donate to help journalists like Katie and myself continue delivering you guys the other side of the story, because it's become quite clear that there's not many of us that are holding these people accountable. So earlier in the day, we actually attended a press conference which included the mayor of Austin, Texas, Mayor Adler.
We know that cities are doing a lot to tackle climate change, but we also know that collectively we need to do more, we need to do faster to keep the climate crisis at bay. We need our work with young people to help us speed up and scale up the rollout of climate solutions, to get more and more residents on board and ensure we create communities and economies where everyone can thrive.
After waiting patiently in line to ask my question, and let me note that I was the only person in line, it became quite clear that they weren't going to allow me to ask my question. So I thought, I'm just going to take the opportunity to ask my question, even if they weren't going to formally allow me to ask my question. This is what happened. Well, I have a quick question, if I may. Mr. Adler, you flew over 5,000 miles to be here to attend a summit that is promoting the elimination of fossil fuels. Isn't that hypocritical? Wouldn't it make more sense to attend this virtually?
I would love to hear from our youth who we're trying to highlight at this moment in time. Thank you very much.
We made it very clear that we were done with questions. The event is running over.
No comment though, Mr. Adler?
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We would look forward to, if you're interested in learning more about the exciting C40 Global
Because you don't want me to ask the question.
You can look online at c40summit.org.
You guys don't want me to ask the question. I see you guys doing it. I'm gonna wait for him outside, okay? Now, as you saw at the end there, I gave a thumbs up, and that thumbs up was actually to Mayor Adler as he signaled to me that he was going to be taking my question after the press conference was over. I gotta give credit where credit's due. He actually did take the time to have an interview with me as he exited the press conference room. Yeah, this is what happened. There's a lot of people that would say it's hypocritical, you know, to come fly overseas here, you know, from Austin, Texas to Buenos Aires. It's over 5,000 miles, right? You're burning an insane amount of fossil fuels by doing this. Wouldn't it make more sense to attend something like this virtually?
Well, I think that the question that you're asking requires an answer that addresses the challenge on multiple levels. If you're only looking at the carbon footprint associated with the plane flight over, then yes, you could have avoided the plane flight if I had stayed in Austin. The advantage and the benefit of coming to a conference like this is to be with people, the conversations that happen, the relationships that are formed, the networking opportunities that arise are often things that can't be created in a Zoom call. Now, the question then ultimately is the increase in carbon footprint for me flying over here worth the advantages that are associated with physically being here? And I made the choice that it was. That on balance, the bigger contribution to climate change mitigation would be being here in order to be able to take advantage of those relationships and that networking and being with the people. You limit the size of the delegation or the group of people that travel with me. You make sure that you're doing everything you can to offset the carbon load that you create. But the question ultimately is a question of net benefit versus net harm. And the decision I made was that it was better for me to physically be here than to not be here.
We've seen with the COVID response, right? It's clear that not everybody's going to be on board with these policies. You know, like when you look on the website, they're promoting 3 clothing items a year, no meat or dairy. Okay, do you eat meat right now?
I do.
Are you going to stop eating meat?
No.
So why are they promoting this? And I guess I'll go back to my question is, what potential consequences are there going to be for people that don't abide by these rules? Are we going to see like some sort of lockdowns for these people? What actions are you going to take in your city to make sure that everybody follows the rules that the summit here is promoting?
Again, I think you have to look at the overall picture to see what the overall and net balance story is. Since 2010 in the city of Austin, we've reduced our carbon footprint by 25%. This isn't a pretty fast-growing city. In fact, it's the fastest-growing large metropolitan area in the United States. Our per capita footprint has decreased by 49% since 2010. And does that mean that everybody in the city has stopped eating meat? No, doesn't mean that. But it means probably that some people are eating less meat. I'm eating less meat, and I'm eating less meat probably because I'm more aware of the issues that arise from that. So no, I don't expect everyone to just wear 3 articles of clothing, but are messages like that, even aspirational messages, resulting in changed awareness and changed conduct? The answer to that is yes. And on balance, really the only thing that's important is the question of what is the carbon footprint in my city today relative to where it was in 2010, and where does my city's carbon footprint need to be in 2030 and 2040, and are we going to be able to take the steps to reach those goals? It's not the individual action, it's the collective action that's important.
I guess we'll revisit this question in a couple years, but are you seeing any potential consequences for people that don't abide by these rules? Are you seeing that in the future? Like I said, we can revisit this in a few years and see where we're at, but as of right now, do you see that happening? Do you see there being consequences, whether, like I said, lockdown, whatever the case may be, to get people to try and abide by the rules that are being promoted here?
You know, I don't see on the horizon lockdowns. I mean,
any kind of consequences?
But I do believe in consequences. And in our city, we're adopting green building codes. And there are rules and regulations that require people to build in certain ways that they were not building in 10 years ago. And if you don't abide by those rules, you can't build. I mean, that's a very real consequence. And I think that those kinds of steps that cities can take, the municipalities can take, those kinds of consequences are necessary in order to drive the collective behavior and changes. But no, I haven't heard anyone talk about actually locking people up yet.
I want to know if you're going to put policies in place in the future without the consent of the governed.
So the climate change mitigation is really important to my community, has been for a long time. I mean, going back decades. So this is the work with climate change mitigation is something that's core to my constituents and my community in Austin. So they want me to be doing everything that I can to support them. in the work they're doing in mitigating climate change. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm participating in this work.
And so why did you decide to enter into a global pact?
I think that the goals that C40 has set for the world are really important goals if we're going to mitigate climate change. And I think that the impact of not meeting those goals is going to be pretty bad for the world. So entering into the pact becomes one of 1,000 different ways to be able to raise consciousness on the issue and to set objective standards that people can measure their conduct against and the progress of our city and cities around the world.
Well, there you have it, folks. These are certainly some strange times we are living in. I feel like a lot of people don't even believe the fact that there's people out there in the world that are completely trying to change our lifestyles. This is going to completely turn the world upside down. Before I let you guys go, I want you to check out that website, C40Summit.com. Sign the petition if you agree that this green net zero economy transition is just not making any sense. And if you want to have your voice heard, you must sign that petition. And if you appreciate Rebel News being on the ground here, asking the tough questions, showing the other side of the story, consider making a donation so we can continue to cover events like this and ultimately bring you guys the other side of the story. It's Lincoln J for Rebel News. Thank you so much for watching our content, guys. Like I said earlier, that website we created is C40Summit.com. You can check out all of our coverage through that website. You can sign our petition through that website, and you can donate to help journalists like Katie Daviscore and myself continue bringing you guys the other side of the story. Thank you so much.